So you've been here before, right?
Yeah.
Past years, but is this a little bit of a different experience, being that it's a film version of your book?
It's tremendously exciting, and it's moderately crazed too. In the past, I've been here to talk about comic books or novels, and that's been kind of like, being on one of these foot-powered scooters, where you're on your scooter cruising down the road, and this is like, climbing onto a 850 horsepower Harley Davidson and going full throttle.
Right.
It's a blast.
Yeah. And now, when you were writing Horns, it's such an interesting and specific tone to the book.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Did you ever imagine that it would make the transition into a feature film?
God, no. No, never in my wildest dreams. No.
Yeah.
Like all good novelists, I saw it an option. It was optioned, and I took the money and ran. I figured, end of story.
Right.
I thought that would be the end of it. I certainly never would have daydreamed that Daniel Radcliffe was going to be, was going to play Ig Parish and star in the film. And I've been lucky with Horns all the way down the line, from who optioned it, and Mandalay really cared about the property and really wanted to bring, a loving, energetic adaptation to screen, to Alexandre Aja saying that he wanted to make the film, to Daniel Radcliffe saying he wanted to play this guy. In the course of the book, so the story is about this guy who inherits all the powers of the devil and uses those powers to hunt for the person who killed his girlfriend. And Ig Parish, who grows the horns and becomes this demon, experiences a lot of pain. He grieves, he has loss, he suffers, he goes crazy, he rages, he feels despair, delight. This is a huge emotional terrain to explore, and I had hundreds of pages to explore it in. Dan Radcliffe only gets an hour and 40 minutes, and somehow he did it and made it look easy.
Yeah.
And I remember coming to the set to watch him work and having a conversation with him, and then it was time to be on camera. And he slipped on the part like someone throwing on a favorite old overcoat. It was just effortless. And I always think whenever you see an artist do something very hard and make it look easy, you're seeing the result of thousands and thousands of hours of hard work.
Yeah.
Just someone who completely put their ego aside and put their head down and busted their ass.
And when did you first see the film in its completed version, and what was your initial reaction, or your reaction throughout the film?
Well, they included me, and I offered what suggestions I could, and then did my best to stay out from underfoot. So I offered suggestions on the screenplay, and I offered suggestions on the first cuts of the film. But and I think that they were afraid to show me the film because
he was.
Yeah, because I think they don't want the guy who wrote the book to be like, you destroyed everything, I hate you.
Exactly.
But they didn't destroy everything. They did a wonderful job. In a lot of ways, the movie is a lot more fun than the book.
Yeah.
And I knew that as soon as I saw the rough cut. I'm watching this scene between Daniel Radcliffe and Juno Temple in a diner.
Yeah.
And these are two people who deeply love each other, and they're hurting each other, and they keep hurting each other. They keep saying the most terrible things, and it's a completely wrenching scene. And I watched that scene in a rough cut without music and with the sound dropping in and out, and it wasn't color corrected, and the cuts are all rough, and I had goosebumps all over, and I felt very emotionally moved by it, and I felt like we really had something really exciting.
Yeah. It's great. And what do you think a general audience is going to make of this movie? Because obviously, I think it's safe to say it's not for everybody necessarily.
Yeah, we live in a time when, there's a lot of great horror out there. I look at movies like Sinister and Oculus, and I say those are really terrific. And there's been, a lot of great horror on TV and stuff. But we do live in a period of time when films are generally only allowed to do one thing. A horror film is only allowed to be scary. An action movie is only about action. And the reason films have become increasingly one note is because that's easy to market. It's easy to know how to package and sell that. And I love that Horns is very scary, but it also has a wonderful love story in it, and a great sense of comedy. Mm-hmm. A real sick sense of humor, a real bleak, ghastly sense of humor. And you know, a lot of the films I grew up on, movies like Jaws, cover that emotional range. You know, Jaws is a horror film. It is scary. It's also an adventure film. It's also very funny. You know, it's also a film about small town politics. You know, and I like a big fat slice of story. You know, I like movies that have a brain and use it. You have no idea how a film will be received. I am confident that a lot of people who check out the film will love it and want to see it again and feel like they saw something that wasn't like anything else they saw this year. That's also part of the job, you know, is to try to give people something that takes them to a new place. You know, hopefully we did that. I guess we'll find out soon.
Yeah, and finally, obviously they're moving forward with another adaptation, Lock and Key. Looks like that movie's getting done. I mean, how confident are you that they're gonna like go forward and make it happen this time? I mean, they did the pilot, of course.
Yeah, they did. Mark Romanek directed a wonderful pilot of Lock and Key, and Fox, in their infinite wisdom, decided not to bring it to series. They went with some other show, which I think lasted 6 episodes. I won't say which one.
There's so many that just go,
you know, and because it had a big budget, we couldn't get anyone else to take a whack at it. But the funny thing is everyone who's seen the pilot loves that pilot. Everyone
showed it here.
Yeah, everyone who saw the pilot thinks it's great. Alex Kurtzman has a great passion for the story, really loves the comic, and he brought it over to Universal, and he's worked very hard to make the film happen. I would never, ever bet against Alex Kurtzman's ferocious drive, you know, his relentless intensity and desire to get it right and then make it happen. So I'm moderately hopeful, and I have not read it. I've heard the early draft of the script is awesome.
Nice.
And I think that the plan is to do a trilogy, so that there are 6 books in the series, and I believe the basic idea on the trilogy would be essentially every film is covering 2 books, and they have some genius ideas about how to put that together and make it flow organically. So I'm hopeful. I guess we'll see.